Please welcome CSP Jeff Mowatt.
Jeff Mowatt.
Jeff Mowatt.
Let's go on to transferring a call. Okay, now transfer. We don't have to read all this, but let's say that you're a customer and you're expressing a concern to me, and I'm thinking, I'm not the person that should take care of that. It should be Alyssa. So I'm going to transfer you over to Alyssa. So if somebody asks to be, first of all, if somebody asks to speak with Alyssa, I shouldn't say, and I can see that she's available. One way of doing it is say, okay, or I just say, one moment, please. Is that a yes or no? I asked if I can speak with her. One moment, please. What does that mean? Maybe I could say, certainly, I'll put you right through. It's what we're doing anyway, so why not? And people go, wow, they seem willing to serve. Okay, so let's say, though, that when somebody you're expressing a concern to me, and you're annoyed, and so you're telling me, this is supposed to happen, this didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. So what I can do is, oh, you need to talk to Alyssa. And I just put you through. Great. So now, what as a customer, now what do you got to do? You got to get the whole thing over again. Great. And yet I heard the whole thing, but what I did is, I don't want to have to deal with this. I just put you right through, and now you get to repeat yourself. So I've just taken your stress level. What have I done? I've made it worse, and I passed it on to somebody else. Not exactly dynamic communications. Instead, what if we're talking with the customer, and this time we get all that information, and how about, since we're briefed to that, say, I know exactly who can take care of this for you. I'm going to be transferring you over to Alyssa, but I'll just put you on hold if it's okay with you, just so I can let her know what's going on. Is that okay with you? Yep, thanks. Blah, 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 and express the whole thing. Now, when Alyssa picks up the phone, rather than just going hello, and I know you wouldn't, but you wouldn't just go hello. Instead, when we're picking up a call that's been transferred, and we've been briefed on that, what should we say as we pick up that phone? We should say, for like a whole bunch of things. You just transferred the call to me, and it's an upset customer. What's some things that I should say as I pick up the call? I've been briefed on the whole thing, right? Rather than just saying hello. Yeah, so I should talk about a little briefing under the situation. That's one thing. There's about 4 things I should say.
Their name.
Their name, yeah, and who else's name? Theirs as well, yeah. And I also understand from whoever, Bob, who okay, so if we're saying, hi, John? Yeah, I understand. This is Jeff Mowatt. I understand from Bob, and I want to make sure that I've got this straight, that you had some concerns with the shipment. And I want to make sure I've got this straight. This happened, this. And away we go. So we even mention the name of the person who is there. Now, I was asking you before about some people experience with other dealerships. And you're not as big as some of the other dealerships, I suppose, out there. And one of the perceptions out there was that, yeah, it's a big company. It's almost like a bureaucracy. Well, here's the shock is your customer isn't going to know that. If you transfer calls and nobody identifies themselves, and we're not communicating like this, you're going to seem like more of a bureaucracy than a dealership that's 3 times as big as you, because of the way that we're communicating. Whereas on the other hand, when you say to somebody, I understand from Bob, and I want to make sure, and you use your name, it makes it sound like we talk with each other. You get a dealership where everybody knows what's going on around here, and the reality is you do. All that communication is happening, but we're not communicating to the customer necessarily consistently that's the case. Does that make sense? So all it is a matter of transferring calls, briefing people, but if somebody tells you about what's going on and you pick up the phone and you go, hello, man, you're not doing your job. That is just not helpful. You've just made the situation a lot worse. Does that make sense? Why that does not work? And why there's so much room for improvement? Like what a difference it makes. And there's habits and we haven't been aware and all the rest of it, but now there's just no excuse. So, and try to catch each other on this on the telephone, because a lot of that interaction, it happens on the telephone. They can just as easily phone somebody else. And if it's noticeable that at NorSAS there is something different about the way that they're taking care of as customers, then that will stand out. They'll be thinking of you more as trusted advisors. They just a gut level feeling that there's a higher level of communication professionalism that goes on.